let's look at this one then. LV Don then. So, thank you for your question. Let's be honest. How great was the El Clasico really? You see, all these recency people, man. You see, you stupid. You can never just go, you stupid mess. Because we went on, because we were flipping features, because while it was happening before, you still had the umbilical cord. So you didn't have a brain. You were watching football while you still had an umbilical cord. There was still blood all over you. Your mother was still breastfeeding you when Figo, Ronaldo, people were saying stuff also. But let me just finish your dumbass question, man. Let's be honest. How great was the El Clasico really before Messi and Cristiano? It was a huge game before their time, but not globally. In the era, the viewing reached 8 billion people worldwide. They are simply goats in the highest order. Oh, you stupid piece of crap. We should be thankful for guys saying this, but that's the kind of stuff that makes me pissed off. Because you've now opened up you've opened up the Pandora's box. Guys, don't blame me for my rants. Don't blame me for my rants.
Wait. Guys, get yourself a meal. Get yourself a meal. If you're watching this, pause it. Get a meal. Come back.
Well, can I just say one thing? I think the last point that he made in that question actually does make sense. I do think that rivalry between Ronaldo and Messi has elevated the game in terms of its viewership. I think it's false to say that it wasn't a great rivalry before, because it was, and it has been for a long time, way back to the whole Franco and the political surroundings of the game. It's been a massive, massive game. But having said that, Messi and Ronaldo, and those two being what they are for the game of football, has made El Clasico go up a level. It's become more than it has in terms of viewership and in terms of people's interest around the world, because Messi and Ronaldo have their fan clubs, and those people will watch because of them. So therefore, it has gone up a level. It doesn't mean that the technical level on the pitch or the rivalry itself has changed. It hasn't. It's just in terms of viewership and who watches it around the world, it has gone up.
It's factual to say, yes, it's gone up in viewership. Yeah. However, I think you have to take something into consideration. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but you have to take things into consideration in terms of the times that we live in. So more people have access to watch the match than they did, 20 years ago, whatever it might be. But it's like, for example, you look at Avengers and Avatar grossing over $1 billion, but were they bigger than, let's say, when Godfather came out?
Titanic.
Or whatever. But just because they gross more, but everything's changed. The availability of actually going to the cinema compared to back then. I mean, probably back then, black people weren't even allowed to go to cinema. Like, it's real. So there's a lot of things now. Why? If we look at the raw numbers, yes, I think it's added another dimension to it, to have that fan rivalry directly between Ronaldo and Messi in terms of in that way. But it was always massive, which is hard to quantify, because the fact that you got a lot of the South Americans who always want to go to Barcelona and Real Madrid. Why? Why do they want to go to Real Madrid and Barcelona? Why were Real Madrid and Barcelona so big? Did the El Clasico? El Clasico definitely had
the pig's head, man. Talk about the pig's head.
El Clasico had a rivalry that made those two clubs so big. Why? All these players from abroad, Gary Lineker, wanted to go and play in Spain. Figo being thrown the pig's head for that transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid. It was massive. We might not all be able to see it back then because we wouldn't, if we were lucky, we might have had dial-up internet. And if your mum picked up the phone when the pig's head was about to be thrown, the internet get cut off and you can't watch.
You never saw that. Yeah.
That's it. And then there's no playback. There's no Twitter. Let me go see you screenshot it and screen record it. That's it. So yeah, factually, he's correct. But I think how the impact that Clasico had before, you might say, the technology era is very difficult to quantify it in numbers.
I'm going with the super chat. Super chat from yesterday. It says, Neeks, thanks for having my back, bro.
Anytime. How about $7.99? That's for me.
So let me come in here in the most civilized way possible. The guy that sent that message isn't a football fan. The guy that sent that message is a cultist, is a fanboy. You are a fan of a specific player and you are poisonous to the purity of football. Because in your decrepit mind and brain, you don't care about football because you went watching football before Messi and Cristiano. You just got here. This house was built and has been living for hundreds of years. You just walked in with your cool new shoes. You want to now use the kitchen? You want to use the living room? You want to use the TV? You're putting your legs up on the sofa. Say, whoa, whoa, whoa. You just got to this. You just got to the crib. Sit your ass in the corner and I'll tell you the house rules. And maybe in a few years, you can sit on the sofa in the corner and watch the TV in the corner. El Clasico has always been El Clasico. Now, you're right. The numbers have gone up based on Messi and Cristiano's popularity. But you see what that clown wrote? Oh, the two goats. Oh, so in your little, minuscule, stupid, irrelevant brain, these dudes are goats because they are popular, because they brought the most people. They're not goats because of the World Cups, because of the amount of trophies that they've won internationally. They're goats because of how popular they are. So you should never, in your sad, stupid life, because it's people like you that make me sick. You should never, in your sad, stupid life. Let me put the thing away. You should never, in your sad, stupid life, ever talk on football because you're a flipping fanboy. You have flipping posters. You have flipping orgasm. You have flipping wet dreams over people like Messi and Cristiano. That's all you are. You just idolize these people who don't care about you. They'll never care about you, and that is all you are. Never in your life discuss football. El Clasico was big before Messi and Cristiano. It will be big afterwards. And I'll be watching it and I'll be commenting on it afterwards. So I cannot wait. I can't wait till Messi and Cristiano retire because Mbappe is coming. Oh my gosh. If Mbappe wins that CL, I've got the tweets. I've tweeted. If Mbappe wins that CL, that's why, please, by God in the heaven, if Mbappe wins that CL, these guys are done. These guys are done. My narrative is called World Cup and a CL. They're done. I'm done.
I've got a question though. You mentioned about them bringing in numbers, not being kind of in the argument for being a GOAT. But you talk about Michael Jordan and the impact that he had worldwide. Forget the rings, forget what he did on the court. The impact he had worldwide, the exposure that he gave to the NBA. We talk about that when we talk about him being the GOAT. So you can't dismiss the impact that Messi and Ronaldo have worldwide in popularizing not only El Clasico, but the game of football in general. Football was big before and football was big after. But without a doubt, there's going to be more fans when you have I'm going to say personalities like Ronaldo and Messi. Messi's not really a personality, but a person's figures like Messi and Ronaldo who are breaking record after record after record. Their impact worldwide has been massive. And you can't dismiss that in the GOAT argument because it's all encompassing.
So it depends. Are you looking at just sporting
just a quick question.
achievements as GOAT, or are you talking as a sporting personality as GOAT? There's two different things. But I think either way, who's got? I know they don't have World Cups and European championships, although Ronaldo does, Copa America or whatever. But as individual football players, they are two of the most decorated. Actually, they are the two most decorated football players of all time as individuals. So therefore, they have to be in the conversation as GOATs. Not,
can I just ask you guys a question, both of you guys? Which do you think has, in your view, has higher viewing numbers? A World Cup final or a Champions League final? Any Champions League final? A World Cup final or a Champions League final?
World Cup,
100%.
So, yes, I mean that Messi and Cristiano have brought in people. But even without Messi and Cristiano, football was always the big, like, there was before Messi and Cristiano, football was the biggest sport in the world. Because it was the biggest sport in the world. By the time R9 was doing his thing, boxing was on the way down, because really boxing really pummeled during the 90s and so forth. NBA got its spark through Jordan. So because really boxing was number one for like in the 70s, 80s, and the early 90s. But really, once we got into the late 90s and so forth, and boxing was on the way down, NBA was just coming up. And there's nothing else. Football was the number one sport in the world. And it was just going to grow with every World Cup. Because the World Cup is the international event.
You might argue that football at the time then had no challengers. So it was, for them being number one in the world wasn't that difficult an achievement if heavyweight boxing was on the way down.
But still, boxing was still you still have to give football credit to, even if boxing was on the way down, it was still boxing. Arguably one of the oldest sports ever. But based on just how people were gravitated towards football and just how well the World Cup was being marketed. Obviously, Pele started it on everything, but how the World Cup was marketed as this international global event, you still have to give football credit for how it was able to take advantage of boxing, not sort of being in like no man's land.